Hi book lovers, and welcome or welcome back. Please grab a drink of your choice. I'm having my matcha here, and then let's chill together and talk about this year so far. This is the mid-year check-in tag or the mid-year freakout tag, something like that. I did the same thing last year and I pretty much used the same questions, and I actually watched my video from last year, like just the beginning, because I wanted to see the questions. And weird thing to comment on, but my hair was so dark. I mean, it makes sense because I colored it more blonde, but seeing it now, I'm like, I feel like the blonde is just a bit more me. And I mean, it's not super light, but it was so dark back then. Anyway, if you want to see my mid-year check-in from last year or just the color difference of my hair, I'll leave that video down below. And doing the mid-year check-in is basically putting up the contenders for the awards coming at the end of the year, the end of the year tag basically. So let's hang out together. I always loved matcha, but honestly in the last few weeks I just really became addicted to matcha so much. It's so good. I'm also a coffee girly, but I haven't craved coffee in a while now, which is crazy. But yeah, matcha is just taking over. I always love both. Like, I'm not the one or the other team. Like, I love both, but at the moment I am team green. Anyway, this is not about drinks. Okay, I have my notes here because otherwise I will forget stuff. And before we go into, you know, the books, let's just talk about like the general reading year so far and my statistics. You know how much I love that. It's been not the best reading year, which, yeah, is a bit frustrating. Like last year I honestly thought that I would give out 5 stars way too easily because I had quite a few, and then I saw people's list and I was like, how do you have not more 5-star reads? But yeah, this year has been a lot of mediocre reads, so I hope that that's definitely something that's going to change in the next half of the year. And overall, I read 40 books. Also, sorry, I'm actually filming this ahead from when I will post it, so I will post it a bit later than mid-year, but I won't like consider the books that I've read, obviously, now in the future, but when I post this video. So this is truly more of like the mid-year than when I posted like 2 weeks later. I read 40 books so far, which is a bit less than I would have wanted to, because I have the goal of reading 100 books again this year. So I will have to amp up my reading speed a bit in the next half. And not really surprising, my biggest genre was romance, so I read 20 romances, and the others are a bit of everything. The second biggest genre is definitely fantasy. I unfortunately haven't been in the biggest fantasy mood lately, but I really hope that I will return to my fantasy, especially my romantasy reads. And yeah, then I read thrillers, 1 non-fiction, bit of dark romance, general fiction, and 2 that I put as non-genre because I just literally didn't know where to put them. That is just a bit of an overview of how this year has been so far. And I also want to balance it out a bit more in the next half as well and not read as many romances, but romances are my kryptonite. I love them. So it will always be my biggest genre, I think. Let's get to the book questions. The first question, already a big one, is best book of the year. And I actually have a reading vlog for that. It was quite in the beginning of this year, and I think I titled it like something along the lines of have I already found the best books or something, and I haven't been wrong, because that book from the beginning, from February, is still my favorite book of this year, and that is Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood. I love it so much that actually yesterday I decided to start a reread of it. So I'm actually halfway through the book. I'm also started tapping it, like not religiously, just, you know, some scenes that I really love, which are a lot. But I love this book so much, even on the reread, and like sort of knowing what happened because I also read it more recently. The tension in this book, like, I understand that this might not be for everyone, and this is not a book that I'm going to force upon everyone. This is a college romance between a diver and a swimmer, and there's definitely a big part of this book where, you know, Scarlett, our main character, goes through her own thing, and not that the romance is a side plot at all, but it has other strong plot lines as well. And this book has messy people, and it feels so human. I think that this book just really represented like friendships and competitive worlds and all of that in such a nuanced way. I enjoyed this so much, and I'm still enjoying it because I'm reading it for a second time. And this is kind of more of a kinky book because our 2 main characters actually bond over having the same or like fitting kinks basically. However, the only thing that maybe I also don't love is that it's actually not that kinky or as spicy as you would think. And I don't know if Ellie Hazelwood, maybe, you know, being a traditional published author, didn't want to like make it, you know, a full-on 50 Shades of Grey, whatever. Like, there is spice here, don't get me wrong, but it's not what you would expect from the nature of their relationship. That's all I'm gonna say. If you want to have more thoughts, obviously you can go back to that reading vlog. Every video that I'm gonna mention I will leave link down below, but I could obviously talk about this book forever. It's been the best so far, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's still the best at the end of the year. I kind of hope not, because come on, I want some other great reads, but this one, so good. Then we have best sequel, and with this I kind of always only want to mention books that are actual sequels and not part of like an interconnected standalone. My favorite sequel was definitely Rebel Witch, which funnily enough I realize now is in the same reading vlog with that other book. Like, truly, that reading vlog, I just found the best books. It was only these two, but anyway. Rebel Witch was highly anticipated by me. Like, that book could have definitely been a disappointment because, wow, I loved The Crimson Moth or Heartless Hunter. Like, I can put up both covers. That duology is so freaking good, and even though the second book wasn't quite a 5-star read, I still loved it with all my heart. And if you love Enemies to Lovers and haven't read this book series yet, please do. The first book, you have Ruth and Gideon, and she is a witch and he's a witch hunter, but she hides in plain sight in society where she is like a socialite and, you know, doesn't really care about anything, just like fashion and balls. And he comes more from like a poorer social group, but he worked his way up and he's now the leader of the witch hunters, and he is out to get the Crimson Moth, which he doesn't know is her. And for their own reasons, they want to get close to each other because they have like their suspicions, and there are other reasons why they shouldn't date, and it's just, it is so good. And after that cliffhanger, you definitely want to get into the second one. The next question is new releases I haven't gotten to yet, which are quite a few. I definitely want to read Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer, which just came out. Then one new release that I also definitely want to read soonish is The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. The only thing is I'm always a little bit scared of Jessa Hastings' writing and what it could do to me. So that's why I'm maybe a bit hesitant, but I also want to read it soonish and don't really want to hear other opinions so I can, you know, formulate my own without having influences from others. And then I want to go on a hunt and see what everyone else thinks. So I definitely want to read this sooner than later. And another book that I haven't read yet that I'm ashamed to admit is Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford, or Liz Tomfordy actually. Oh my goodness, that book series, please pick it up. It is called the Windy City series and it is incredible. Even though a lot of people don't seem to like the first book, which I don't really understand, I love that too. But anyway, even those people who didn't like the first book continued with the series and loved the other books. So I can highly recommend that series. They all revolve around like highly professional athletes, and you do have different sports categories. And Rewind It Back, I think, is also hockey romance. And I think basically from the beginning everyone wanted his book. Obviously I forgot the name right now, but that's just me being bad with names. That has nothing to do with the book. And I think this is a second chance romance. Honestly, the reason why I haven't read it yet is that I'm going to read it for a reading vlog, and sometimes that just takes a bit more time or planning to do. But that is like next on my list that I'm going to read. The next question is about my most anticipated new releases for the next half of the year. And I think most anticipated releases have been out this half of the year, but there are two other ones that I'm freaking excited about. The first one is actually one that should have been out by now, but I'm okay. Lauren Asher, you can take your time. I'm fine with that because I know that you're gonna deliver, and that is Love Arranged by her, which is the third book in the Lakefront Billionaire series, and I think it's also the final one in that trilogy. And Lauren Asher is one of my absolute favorite authors. I have been dying to get another book by her. She usually only releases, I think, one book a year, and as I said, this got pushed back. I think now it's gonna be released in August, which is my birthday month, so maybe it's a sign. And I definitely think this could be a 5-star read, and I'm so excited for that one. And the other one that maybe at the beginning of the year I wouldn't have put on this list, but now I kind of have to, and that is Made by Ellie Hazelwood. I don't know why I wouldn't put it on the list. It's just that initially I would think that maybe this is not really a 5-star read. but I actually rated the first book in that interconnected series 5 stars by her. And also, the only 5 stars I got this year are from her. So really why I wouldn't put it on here for anticipated releases, I don't know. It's just that like a paranormal romance is not really my thing usually, but I'll eat up anything that Ellie Hazelwood writes apparently. And that one comes out in October. Next up is my biggest disappointment, and I will say I don't really have like a super big disappointment. I think I also just read a lot of books where I didn't have any expectations. One book that I don't even want to say biggest disappointment, but was disappointing, is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I still like that book. However, most of her books are 5-star reads or close to 5 stars, and that one was only a 3-star read for me, and I definitely did expect a bit more, and I was so excited for getting a new book by her that it was a bit disappointing that it didn't really hit the way I definitely thought it would. I loved her writing in that, and there are definitely bits and pieces that I adored, but overall I just wasn't really invested, and the cover was a bit annoying for me. So that is my biggest disappointment of the year. Biggest surprise, I feel like I had a few contender, but I finally landed on Pretty Savage by Tammy Fisher, which is really the only German book that I've read so far, and unfortunately it's only out in German, but if you are German, please pick up that series. The books in that series are actually the ones that I put as non-genre, because I don't know what genre I would put it. It has romance, it has mystery, it has crimes, it's like basically Gossip Girl and also Pretty Little Liars. It is so good, and I really want it to become a TV series. It would be so incredible, and I enjoyed the first one. However, the books are super long, and I just was a bit unsure, and for some reason, I mean, I am German, but I don't love reading in German. So that also kind of puts me off, and I think I might have actually listened to the second one. I'm unsure. Or I've read it, I don't know. However, wow, like it had jaw-dropping moments, it had amazing romance. You had messy characters, you had like real life problems, but also rich people problems. And honestly, just the messiness of the characters, I think what I loved most, and also maybe the romance, which yeah, and I definitely didn't expect me to love a German book series as much as I did. For favorite new author, I don't really know what to put here. I did try a few new authors, however, none of them were like an instant, oh, obsessed, love it. And then also I find it sometimes a bit difficult to say someone is a favorite author if I've only really read one book. However, not to be super negative, I'll give out the potential of having a new favorite author, and that is Carrie Meneskolka. Stalking Jack the River is the only book I've read by her so far, and I really enjoyed this. This kind of gave me, what is it called? The sister of Sherlock Holmes, Enola Holmes, the TV show, and I definitely want to continue with the series. I gave this, I think, 4 stars, and I love like the atmosphere. But why I say she has potential to become a favorite author is not only this series, but I actually also have, oh, let me show you, another book by her, Throne of the Fallen, which I think is an adult romantasy. I want to say duology, maybe trilogy, I'm not sure. And do I know if I will love this? No, but my friend recommended it to me and she was obsessed with this. So I have really high hopes. And just the fact that she writes really different books kind of makes me more intrigued. And I usually love authors that try out new things and yeah, just branch out. So I think she definitely has potential to becoming a new favorite author. Newest fictional crush. I don't really want to do repeats, but I feel like it's only fitting to say Lucas from Deep End, because this is literally what I'm rereading right now, and I had a crush on him before, but it's renewed. Lucas Blomqvist, it is. The next question is a book that made me cry, and I have a couple on this list. Might have even forgotten some, because I actually cry really easily in books. Not really in real life, but books, oh my god, I tear up so easily. I shed a few tears for You with the View by Jessica Joyce. I definitely shed tears for Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Referring back to that reading vlog, if you saw that, I cried a bit for The Rebel Witch. And if you want to see more of me crying for books, then watch out for another reading vlog where I read The Friend Zone, and wow, I bawled my eyes out at this. This was painful. Like, I had to step away from this book for a little bit because of that ending and what happened in here. And it's not really surprising, because I think I cried at all of Abby Jimenez's books. I'm pretty sure. I don't really remember for Say You'll Remember Me, funnily enough. But I would believe you if you say I did cry for that book. On the other hand, books that made me happy, I definitely want to mention Beg, Borrow or Steal from Sarah Adams. This is part of the When in Rome series, which is inspired by Gilmore Girls, and of course, this made me happy. Like, this has all the cozy, small town charm you would want from a Gilmore Girls inspired book series. And I didn't really love the main character, Emily, from the first book, but she kind of grew on me. And even though this is not my favorite book from that series, it just really made me happy. And I'm already sad thinking about we'll get the final book of this series next year and then it's over, because this is such a, I don't know, sweet, comforting romance series that I would recommend to a lot of people. Sarah Adams also doesn't really write spies, like it's more closed door. So if you don't really like spies, then I would definitely recommend this. But also if you really love spies like me, this is such a good recommendation still. Like, some authors can deliver without some steam. And the other book that I wanted to mention that made me super happy is Problematic Summer Romance by Ellie Jimenez. Oh, guys, this book was everything to me. I enjoyed this so much. Again, I kind of understand if not everyone loved it, but I don't freaking care. I ate this up. I read this on my vacation reading vlog, but it's also going to be on another one that's coming out soon-ish. And this is actually her first interconnected standalone, so the first one is Not in Love by her. And I kind of considered putting this up as best sequel, because it is, but again, you could read it as a standalone, so I feel like it doesn't really count. This is about Maya and her brother's best friend Connor, and they have a bit of an age gap, 15 years to be exact. And Connor therefore doesn't really let himself be with Maya, and they built a friendship, but at the current state they haven't talked in like 8 months, and now they're stuck in Italy at this beautiful setting where his best friend, well, and her brother marries Rue, who is the couple from the first book of this. The only thing I didn't love is that for me the ending was too short. I wanted an epilogue. Where was the epilogue? Sorry for the interruption, but I randomly skipped 2 questions. I don't know why. However, especially the first one, super important one for me, so I'm gonna answer them now. And that is, what are the most beautiful cover? I already say plural, but what is the most beautiful cover I've bought so far? And for that, I will always have to mention Jessa Hastings books, because look at this artwork. And it's literally artwork. It is her best friend doing this painting, and absolutely gorgeous. And the other book that I wanted to mention is actually Fearless by Lauren Roberts, and I don't know where the dust jacket is, but I actually prefer it without the dust jacket. And also the inside is so pretty, and I just love the pink. I like the holographic style, and it is absolutely gorgeous, and I love pretty covers, so I definitely wanted to mention that. And the other question that I skipped, maybe on purpose, because that was, what books do I still need to read this year? And basically, enter my 2025 TBR list here. I haven't done well on that list, and that's definitely a priority. And obviously all the new releases I haven't gotten to yet. I would also love to read by the end of the year, but unfortunately a year only has 365 days. Wishful thinking here. And now back to the actual video. For a book that I enjoyed with mixed reviews, I put A Songbird, no, what was it? The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadwind, which is, well, you can read it at the start for the next series, but technically in the overall next world, I don't know how you pronounce that. It's, I think, the 3rd book, if I'm correct. Maybe I'll put up the reading order here. I actually really enjoyed this book. I read it right at the beginning of the year, but I feel like the reviews I saw weren't that positive, especially since the 2 books, the duology before that, got a really big hype around and a lot of people loved it, and maybe it was just not what people expected. And I kind of got the criticism. I just didn't care too much. Like, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the tension between the characters. I enjoyed the journey. Like, it's definitely a journey they go on. And I don't know, I just really liked it. It was a 4-star read. For the next question, let me sip my matcha a little bit. It's how many 5 stars had I had so far in 6 months? Guys, it's 2. It is only 2 so far. I am on a hunt though for 5 stars right now, so I hope, no, I desperately need the second half to be better. Like, 2 is just unacceptable. That would be 4 at the end of the year if I continue like this. I say no to that. So let's just continue to the last question, and that's actually one that is not really book related, but you know, I thought I would share some of the booktubers that I've been really enjoying, especially this year. And I'm mainly mentioning people that are more or less new this year for me to be obsessed with. So for example, Larry Reed's Destiny, Sarah or Rachel. Like, there are a lot of booktubers that I've been obsessed with years, but these are a bit more new. And not as new, but still I wanted to mention her. I love her so much. Is Katie Wittrock. She's actually doing right now a book with me for summer, and it is so good. Really, really enjoy her. Then I'm really getting into Sophie Jane's. Then Faith's reading Things. It's so difficult for me to pronounce that. I also really, really enjoy. And whenever I'm looking for like a dark romance recommendation, I'm going to Poppy Sabrina. And last but not least, and maybe not really a booktuber because she's actually an indie author, but I feel like it sort of falls into the same genre kind of, is Andrea. I really, really loved her vlogs. Like, they're just so cozy and homey and also very honest, and even though they're super long, and usually I don't really love long vlogs, I've been quite obsessed with hers. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. And with that, we basically, well, not wrapped up the year, but we had our mid-year check-in. So thanks for checking in, guys. I'll finish my matcha. So freaking good. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this. Please give it a like, check out the other videos that I mentioned or the other booktubers that I mentioned, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!